Welcome to the Cardboard Crash Course. My name's Ethan, and today we're taking a look at Escape the Dark Castle, the game of atmospheric adventure. I kind of missed spooky season with this one, but I did wear one of my favorite spooky shirts, at least according to my fiance, who does not want to be seen with me wearing it. This is a cooperative game for 1 to 4 players and has some really cool storytelling elements to it. So let's learn setup and then jump into how to play. Firstly, we'll shuffle the chapter cards together and then place 15 randomly face down in order to build our castle deck. After doing so, we'll shuffle the 3 boss cards face down and place one of them randomly under the castle deck. And finally, place the start card face down on top. This is the complete castle deck that we'll be exploring. We'll then shuffle the item cards together and place the whole deck face down next to the castle deck. Finally, grab all the black chapter dice and place them nearby. Next, we'll select our characters from the 6 available. This shows whether they are wise, mighty, or cunning. So this abbot is the most wise before he is cunning. I'm going to select the abbot and take his character die, placing it both in my play area. Each player will end up with 1 character in front of them, unless it's a single player game. In that case, it's recommended but not required to play 2 characters instead of only 1. Afterwards, we'll discard of the rest of the character dice. They will not be used this game. Each player will then take a sheet of paper and a pencil, marking down their beginning life totals. Here are the corresponding life totals for each character when playing at these player counts. So for a 1-player game, when we're playing with 2 characters, it's going to be 18. I'll write 18 here to keep track. This game is very interesting how it does cooperative gameplay. Instead of turn order, you're simply going to be moving through the castle deck together. So every time you were to turn over a castle card to see what is in the next room, you decide which player is going to turn it over. And it even could be the same player multiple times in a row. That player will then have to deal with whatever is behind the door. Sometimes it's just an event where they make a choice, sometimes they're just told what to do, and sometimes they have to participate in a battle against a monster, using any items that they have. This continues until the players either lose the game by having any character in their party die by going to 0 hit points, or they win the game by beating the boss monster at the end of the castle and escaping into the night. Let's look now at how the castle cards and item cards work in the game. When drawing a castle card, including the start card or the boss monster card, you'll first read aloud in your best voice the italicized text and then the actual rules text. This italicized flavor text is just as important to the atmospheric adventure as the actual rules text is. Sometimes cards tell you to draw an item card per player, or a certain number. Whenever you do that, you'll draw that many item cards and place them face up in front of all players, or characters in the case of playing a 2-handed solo game. And then the party as a group will determine how these cards are distributed amongst the players, most of the time shoring up weaknesses. Because these are both rotten shields, I'll just have each character take 1. Keep in mind that each character only has 2 hands, so they can only hold up to 2 items at one time. However, some cards are labeled as 2-handed, so in order to hold them, they must get rid of both of the cards they already have and take up both slots. Item cards can always be traded in between players freely, but only after a chapter has been completed, or whenever new item cards are being drawn from the deck. Item cards can be used at any time unless specified otherwise. So this rotten shield says whenever I would lose HP, I reduce the amount by 1 down to a minimum of 1. Thank you. Sometimes, after the italicized text, it will have the players make a choice. This says, as a group, you choose an option. You can either agree to draw an item card, or you can attack him to begin combat. Most of the time, combat rewards you with more stuff than simply taking the easy route. Let's see how combat works now with this nobleman. Combat affects all players and starts with laying out chapter dice according to the ones shown down here. This symbol with the person says that we must roll 1 dice per character and then also place them down below. This row of dice shows what it takes to defeat the enemy. Combats are fought in multiple rounds and start with attack and then defense. So, during combat, each player is going to simultaneously roll their die and then compare results to the results shown down here. This cracked axe from the cook also allows that player to roll 1 of the chapter dice alongside it and apply all these results. To apply results, you're going to compare what you have to what it takes to defeat the enemy. Unfortunately, none of these are allowed to remove any dice shown here. If instead the abbot were to roll this side, then he could discard one of these chapter dice down below. In any case, we'll move on to defense. Anybody who blocked with this shield icon around their icons take no damage when the monster fights back. However, any player who did not block, as long as dice are still remaining, are going to take damage. Enemies deal damage to characters who did not block according to this number on the bottom right corner of their card. So in this case, I move from 16 down to 15 hit points. These rounds continue over and over again until all of these chapter dice down below have been removed. A player can choose to rest during a round of combat by removing their character dice from the combat and not rolling that turn. Resting allows that player to gain 1 HP for each round that they rest. Once all the chapter dice are removed, regardless of the number of players, you'll draw 1 item from the deck in order to disperse amongst the players. Sometimes enemies also have special rules if you defeat them. This says if you survive, draw an item card per player. So on top of the one you normally always get, we'll get 2 more, 3 in total to disperse amongst the 2 characters. The final chapter card is always the boss monster. These monsters, like the Terror of the Underworld, usually have high damage values, a lot of dice to defeat them, and some kind of modifier for the combat to make it more difficult. Defeating the boss allows the group to win altogether, but if any character died along the way, the whole group loses. Thank you for watching the Cardboard Crash Course and learning how to play Escape the Dark Castle with me. If you want to tell me what to teach next, go ahead and leave that in the comments section below. And if you want to support the channel financially, go ahead and check out the Patreon. Have a great rest of your day. Pax Magnifica, Bellum Gloriosum.